So basically, my wife and I, we were on cruise control with our publishing business. We were just going around store to store, selling them to be in our advertising publication. And people would say yes because it was only us and another publication. We were competing against each other, but we had really did the work. There were other publications that tried to come into the market, but it you have to really be focused and do the work. And at that time, when we got our first business going at the age of 20, started it when I was 20 years old, we just focused on that. We did everything to make sure that we could get that business off the ground. And with the goal of it replacing the income that we had at that time, which was not a lot. Which was not a lot. I was working as a security guard right out of the U.S. Army. My wife was working at a factory. We were living in a one bedroom studio apartment. It was not good. It was not good, but it was comfortable. So I won't say it was like the worst. But we started that business. People laughed at us. We did not go to college for it. We did not get trained on it. We just had a goal to be able to help small businesses and for us to have a good living, to make money. And at that time in 1990, computers were just, really hitting it to where it was becoming affordable, even though the one that we got was $2,500. Had to put it on layaway. And software, publishing software was becoming available. And those things together is what allowed us to be able to get into that business of advertising. It was just a magazine and it had advertisers in it. We gave it away for free, but the advertisers paid to be in it. And that's like a lesson on what's going on today. There's always something that meets the market. At that time, it was the daily newspapers didn't really care about the small mom and pop businesses. So it was too expensive to go in the daily papers, and who could, unless they had a big business, could advertise in the daily papers, and then they would just do it day after day after day. They had weird contracts that requirements for business owners. We came into the market to where we was like, hey, you don't have to sign a contract. Basically, with the way my wife and I built our company is we were like, we're going to just do it on performance. We know that me and my wife and I were going to sell and make the ads. We were going to get it printed. We were going to distribute it to have people had an opportunity to get it. We were going to do it in high traffic locations like laundromats, check cashing places, liquor stores, what else? Laundromats, if I didn't already say that, grocery stores, corner stores. We just put them all over where we knew people would be coming in, make the front page attractive, and after a period of time, people were picking them up. We became very successful. And I remember after 8 months, we were making, when you averaged it out over the next year, we would be making $36,000. Now you might be saying that's not a lot of money, and compared to where we were coming from with the income, yes, it was. It was a lot of money to us. Number one, it gave us the freedom because we were in charge of our own business. We were making our own income. And also we wasn't getting taxed because, so every dollar that came in was ours. Tax man wasn't taking a piece of it until we did our taxes at the end of the year. And but so we got that business going. By year number 4, at the age of 24, making over $100,000 a year with that business. Over $100,000 a year. Very good. And then we had some hiccups because when you start to make money, you could, start to spend on things that you shouldn't. But basically, after going through and getting everything tightened up from our destructive financial spending, but we always took care of the business, always took care, like business was number one because we never did want to go back to working for anybody. After a while, we're on cruise control. Monday, go out there, collect the money from the ads that ran, saw some new businesses and gave an opportunity to advertise. Tuesday, did the same thing. Wednesday, we would put the publication together with all of the changes from the ads. Most people didn't even really make too many changes. And on Thursday morning, at that time, we had to drive it to the printer. Now you would do FTP and all of this stuff. Well, soon years later after that it became that, but we used to have to take it to the printer, the layout sheets, and then we would go pick it up that next morning, deliver it to all of the locations that we were putting the publications in. People would pick them up. Phones started ringing for the advertisers. Monday, I'm going back, collecting money, getting the changes. We did that for years, cruise control. For years, we had probably was at about 250, 240, 250, 260, maybe 300,000 that we were bringing in eventually to our own pocket. So the business was making way more than that, but that was how much we were making because we had to pay print, taxes, all of that stuff. But it was basically still just me and my wife. And then I remember the aha moment that came to me was that what if I got people to do what we were doing? That means we got a graphic designer to do the graphics, put the paper together. So that took off of our plate. We got delivery drivers, and then they went out there and they delivered. We didn't have to deliver anymore. We just had to have the publications brought to a point, and then we would spread it out. At that time, I think we had 3 or 4 delivery drivers. And because at the time, my wife and I did it for years, and then after a while, I just did it. So I would go pick them up at 4:00 in the morning at the print shop. They worked 24 hours. And then I would deliver, and sometimes I wouldn't get home till 8:00 on Friday. But that was worth it because of the money I was making. It was really that day. Thursday, we really didn't do nothing after we got the publication there. And really, if you had a job where you were just going, collecting money, like I was getting my money on Monday, Tuesday, and then on Wednesday where we might tighten up some, but we were basically at home putting the publication together. We did cruise control for a long time, but when I started to get people in place, and the first ones we did was a graphic designer, and then we did the delivery drivers. Those 2 took a lot off my plate. I was able to sell more. But then I said, what if I got salespeople? And then I said, what if I get salespeople? I train them, and then I give them, spread out my clients to them. Now, you might be thinking that I was crazy for doing that. I actually did that. And I gave them the same percentages they were getting when they were selling them themselves, which 25%. I was paying the highest percentage for my sales reps. Guess what happened? The business flew up. So I delegated all of these spots out to people. Sales reps, I had 4 of them. Had the delivery drivers, we had 4, then it went to 5 or 6 because we had very good circulation. And then the graphic designers, we had 1, and then we had 2, 1 for classifieds, 1 for the bigger ads. And it was just off and running. And me and my wife, we really did not have to do much, but other than just make sure that everybody else was doing the things that they were supposed to do. And the business took off. I'm talking about from us bringing in for ourselves about $24,000 a month for ourselves over, and that's after all expenses were paid. 65. I remember the first goal I did this one class. It was like a class last year of your life, and you had this financial goal. And I remember I said I want to move my business to $65,000. No, I said double. I wanted to do the 48,000. But over that year, doing all of this stuff, because it asks you, what do you need to put in place? And I put these people in place to work, even though they wasn't the best. They wasn't the best. So don't think you got to get the best. They just got to like what they're doing, and then you can train them and do things. That's what I've always liked about having those choices as a business owner. But went all the way to first 48,000, 65,000. This is in my pocket per month. And some of the bigger months was $100,000 that we made in our pocket. And that's after paying everybody, delivery drivers, that's paying the graphic designers, everybody, and minus what we had to do in our taxes. But that's a very good income. And once I started to understand that, that's what allowed us to be able to number one, flourish and grow into opening other businesses, because we knew that if we just got people that could do the work the right way, that, even if they're not the best, because let me tell you one thing that I learned is that the best people will not end up staying with you because they're going to end up starting something on their own. And I've had some of the people who worked for me and they ended up starting stuff on their own. And I had no problem with it because I'll never hold anybody back. And I don't think anyone can take anything from me unless I allow them to take it from me. Now, so here is the big lesson. The lesson for you is, number one, when you're until you get your first business successful, you should not be fooling around thinking about multiple streams of income and all that stuff. It will just be a disaster. You just need to focus on that one thing. My wife and I, way back 1990, we just said we're going to focus on this publishing business. We're going to make that successful. And then we did get into other businesses, but we did that first. And now here's one of the things that why people are not able to become successful in business when they start one. It's not because they don't have the tools. It's not because they don't have education. It even isn't about that they don't have the money if they got a loan or whatever. The problem is that either subconsciously or consciously, they don't want all of the responsibility. When I say responsibility, you got to pay people, you got to pay yourself, you got to pay your bills, you got to pay the taxes, you got to pay rent, utilities for your house, you got to pay rent, utilities if you're renting somewhere, you got to get computer equipment, a long list of stuff. And if you are accepting it, that you know you got to pay it consciously, but you're still working another job, like you have to get rid of that job quick. I say this all the time to people that I've mentored before. I said, if you're working somewhere, you got to hurry up and get out of there. If not, then you're subconsciously holding yourself back, or consciously. It's one of the two, or a combination. It's that you don't want to release it. You think that you had the protection and security of that paycheck from that job. And you don't want all of the things that's going to come with it, subconsciously or consciously. I even went through it when the business was successful. When it was at the $36,000, I still had problems letting go of my security guard job that was paying me $6.24 an hour. Can you believe that? When I look back, I was like, I should have slapped myself. And I'm glad that my wife slapped me, because she said, I'm quitting. She had quit 3 months earlier. And then she was like, you're quitting. Come home. I was working 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. in the morning. She was like, quit and come home. However you got to do it. And I did it. And I have never worked for anyone other than myself since 1990. But when I did that, I took responsibility for everything. That means the taxes, the expenses, house, when we rented a house, when we bought our house, the taxes for the business, the taxes for ourselves, everything for the workers, like all of that is on the business owner's shoulders. And if you're not able to do it, it's because you subconsciously or consciously do not want that responsibility. And I am here to say that it is a huge responsibility, and not everybody is built for it. You will know if you're built for it. This is one way that, at least from my own experience, I'm only going to talk from my own personal experience, the way that you can find out if you're built for it. If you have a business right now that you started and you cannot leave it right now, I would say, I'm just going to gauge it on my time frame. 8 months. You started it, and then within 8 months, if you cannot leave and take care of everything in your house and keep that business running, even if it's just you running the business, then you're not built. You may not be built for it. I'm not going to say that you're not, but you may not be built for it. All right. Thank you for your time. This is Stephen A. Williams. If you're watching me on YouTube or whatever platform, subscribe to the channel. This was some great information. Most people don't tell it like it really is. They'll just fluff you up and make you think that you could do anything and take all the money out of your pocket. You don't have to take my word on it. Look at the success level from the Small Business Administration. Less than 1% of businesses will make it after 5 years, and almost all of them will crash within the first year. So if you want to not be included in that, you got to work on yourself. There's books, everything out there. The only difference is that you got to work on yourself. Thank you for your time.